Good afternoon, guys. How are you out there, YouTube? This is News by Jay, and I was just going over the Diddy trial and watching some other videos, and I wanted to come on and do a video and give my own perspective of how I feel about the trial, how I feel it's going, how I feel they're proving their case. Now, I have not personally been there. This is just going by what other news media and outlets said and are saying. And I also want to show how the coercion and extortion, ST, which is sex trafficking, and some other things come into play on how the USA slash the feds is laying out their case. Do I think from what I've heard, Diddy has a good chance at beating the case? In my opinion, no. I believe that they're laying the case out very well, and for what I've heard, Diddy has not had much of a defense. Yeah, you can tear a character witness down, but that still does not defeat the fact that these things that he's being accused of is not being proven. Each person that come in and get on that stand and testify and corroborates Cassie's story is more evidence against Diddy. So Diddy has to either testify or come up with a way to, basically he gonna have to testify to give his version of what happened and what it was, because without hearing both sides you're only getting painted one part of the story. Like, for example, Cassie saying I want to have the freak off, but then again she's saying you treating me like a rag doll, allegedly. Without Diddy getting on there and giving his side of the story, how will we know? Because she could have been saying I wanted a freak off, but you treat me like a rag doll, but I love doing it, blah blah blah. So, and this is not nothing against Cassie. I feel her. I'm not in her shoes. I can't judge. Only God can judge. This is nothing against Diddy. I'm not in his shoes. I wasn't there. This is just my opinion. And from what I believe, the prosecution is laying out their case very well. So, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Scold me, don't mold me. Mold me, don't scold me. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop your name in the comments, and I'll come watch your videos and like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Happy Memorial Day, and enjoy.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance.
Days-long sex parties with sex workers where participants sometimes needed IVs to recover. It sounds awful.
These jarring images of Cassie Ventura covered in bruises shown in court today. Her mother, Regina Ventura, testifying she took the pictures when her daughter was home for Christmas in 2011, quote, to make sure we memorialized the injuries. Regina Ventura also said her daughter's former boyfriend, Sean Diddy Combs, demanded $20,000 because Cassie started dating musician Kid Cudi. Ventura said she and her husband used their home equity line of credit to pay Combs. She said he returned the money a few days later. Ventura's testimony comes after her daughter took the stand for more than 20 hours, testifying that Combs subjected her to years of abuse and forced her to participate in drug-fueled sex parties known as freak-offs. Combs is charged with 5 counts, including sex trafficking and racketeering. He has denied all wrongdoing.
Welcome back. Another day of key testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. The witnesses taking the stand today included Cassie Ventura's mother, Regina, who testified about Cassie's bruises allegedly caused by Combs. Also before the jury today, a male escort known as the Punisher. He testified about his sexual encounters with both Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs. And last on the stand today, the special agent who was in charge of the 2024 raid on Combs' Miami Beach home. The jury seeing assault-style rifles found on a shelf inside Combs' bedroom. The serial numbers on those guns defaced. Let's dissect what happened in the courtroom today with our legal panel. Bernarda Villalona back with us. Also joining today, defense attorney and former assistant Manhattan District Attorney Jeremy Salan. Jeremy, you're going to take on the role of the defense. Bernarda, you're going to take on the role from the perspective of the prosecution. Let's start with you, Bernarda. You were in the courtroom. We talked about this earlier, Cassie's mother on the stand, and she talked about taking photos of bruises that she saw that were allegedly from Sean Combs to memorialize it. How effective was her testimony?
Well, her testimony was definitely compelling because it's coming from a mother's perspective. But also, those pictures that she took, that incident right there was the first time that Cassie had ever told her or insinuated that she was being assaulted by Sean Combs. So just imagine she is responding to her daughter and trying to do something to help her out of it. The jury was deadlocked on her testimony. They wanted to hear everything she had to say. And she came off so compelling that the defense got up and said, Ms. Ventura, I have no questions for you. There was no cross-examination. But she also mentioned a second incident that's important, that there was an incident where she was in front of the hotel. This was in California. Sean Combs had taken Cassie's phone and did not want to return it, so she called the cops to try to get it back. Eventually, she got the phone back, but Sean Combs then took the car. So again, going to that coercion part, that manipulating part of Cassie.
Who's your biggest advocate in life? Your mother's your biggest advocate, 100%. Who would lie for you? Who would steal for you? Who would cheat for you? Who will love you to the end of days? Your mother would.
Except her testimony is corroborated. It's corroborated.
But why didn't the defense question her? What's the strategy there?
There's really no win. There's a difficulty going after a pregnant Cassie, even though we're not talking about 30-something-year-old Cassie. We're talking about 20, 21-year-old Cassie. The same reason you don't go after mom. There's no win for you in that game. You're going to make her cry and make her that much more compelling and hurt her because objectively she's been hurt. Whether that means Sean Combs is an animal and a jerk and a bad man doing bad things, that's one thing. They acknowledge that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's committed these crimes and this whole racketeering pyramid that comes up to him. So it's really kid glove and delicate when you're dealing with a mother on the stand about her own daughter, who was a victim in some capacity, even if not the way the prosecution alleges.
Okay, so the other thing we have to talk about the Punisher, the male escort. A lot of people are talking about it. He testified to his experience saying that he saw Sean Combs never intoxicated, that Combs was giving directions. How does that all play in all of this?
So in terms of the prosecution, you question why call the Punisher, another escort, to come in and testify. Number one, there's strength in numbers when we're talking about the escorts and then talking about the freak-offs. But number two, also showing that, look, because remember doing opening statements, the defense wanted to portray that Sean Combs, a person that was acting he was intoxicated, he was on drugs, pretty much he wasn't understanding what he was doing. And here you have a male escort telling you, not a male escort, a performer, telling you that, look, I didn't see him intoxicated. I didn't see him under the influence of drugs. He was capable of the decisions that he was making. He was directing them as to what to do. And then again, you have another payoff for sexual acts.
Live's new daily show, Burden of Proof, the case against Diddy. For more, Irina, what's the latest from court?
Well, Diane, prosecutors have wasted no time getting right into the alleged abuse that Cassie Ventura says she endured for years. Ventura telling jurors, quote, he would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down. She also got into the nature of those so-called freak-offs, saying that they involved hiring an escort and they performed under the direction of Combs, saying that they happened so frequently it eventually became a job for her to set them up. Ventura said she did not feel she had much of a choice but to participate, that she feared that Combs would retaliate or potentially blackmail her if she did not. And she's had at times to take, she's taken deep breaths, pausing her testimony. Combs appearing to be listening pretty passively with his hands in his lap at the defense table there. Now, remember, this is the first time that they are seeing each other face to face since 2018. You can imagine that emotions are very high in the courtroom right now. And this is expected to be a very lengthy testimony. Prosecutors bracing the courtroom for what's to come as she continues to testify, including videos of these alleged freak-offs.